Your boy Kongming.
It's my boy.
So I'll just start off saying that you were the one that recommended this. So this was
me.
completely off my radar until you brought it up. So I feel like it's only
The
natural.
very concept.
You should bring up the concept and introduce everyone to
The
what
very
this show
concept of a Chinese general being transported to the modern day and becoming the manager for a modern day singer was what drew me into this, because it just sounded absolutely ridiculous. I didn't expect this anime to hit me in the feels as many times as it did. I thought this was just going to be a comedy. But even after the first episode, I was like, oh, my heart, how could you do this?
So going off of that, I watched the first episode and was immediately hooked by the premise, but I'm the type of person that likes to binge watch, so I did give it some time to build before diving deeper. When I did dive deeper, and I kind of got this feeling even from the first episode, this series resonated with me in a very similar way that Blue Period did, where the show talks a lot about pursuing your dreams, and especially in the fields of creativity. And whereas I am mostly a fledgling YouTube channel, and there was even a YouTuber that we'll talk about later in the show itself, a lot of those themes really did resonate with me, because a lot of the times, working endless hours at work, I do feel like just a drone in society, and it is the feelings of pursuing creativity and having a outlet for it. Like in Blue Period, it's art, and in this show it tends to be more singing based, and you get a lot of diversity as the series goes on. It's not just the main female lead and Kongming. There's other artists that are singing, and so if you're even have an inkling of creativity, you're gonna feel very inspired by the show. And I definitely
it deals with burnout, depression, corporate control. It deals with so much more than I ever even expected it to, because even from the first 3 episodes, while it did hit me a couple times, it did kind of feel like it was just going to hit a formula, where it'd be like, okay, Eiko's gonna do this, and she's going to have a thing happen, and then Kongming's gonna fix it by using his tactics. Which it kind of does follow that formula, but it also uses that as a launching pad.
I would agree, because that's why I wasn't eager to continue it immediately after episode 1, because I did feel like it was showing signs early on that it might just be a little too formulaic. And at times it was, but there was enough things introduced where I feel like it was less formulaic than the impression that you would get. If anything, I feel like being a little formulaic is a safe way to make sure you don't flub your overall premise, because
you want that structure, but you can't always stick to it.
The
100%.
one complaint I have, which I hope will be resolved immediately if there's ever a season 2 of this, which this is an adaptation, so in very, very hoping that there will be, I would say that I wish there was a little bit more of the titular Kongming.
He definitely feels more of a plot device than a character.
Yeah,
he is there to move the other characters along. Because the thing with Kongming is that they are riding completely off you knowing that he's a Chinese general, and they're kind of riding off of you knowing his past, though they feed that to you anyways. But if that you don't know anything about him, he's just a guy.
Yeah.
He's just a guy.
I'm completely fine. Not every character needs to go from, 0 to 100 in terms of character.
Well, like, the very concept of this means that you would want to see more of it. This is a guy who lived in ancient times, and now he's in modern day. I would like to see him actually a little more of the fish out of water concept, because he felt like he took to it way too fast. Which is fine in some respects, but at the same time, I would like to see him actually get a little bit more development than that.
And he actually has a lot of good chemistry with the other characters. Like, there's not like a single part of the main
The rap battle with Kabitaijin is fucking awesome.
Yeah, Kabitaiji is definitely one of the stronger characters, and I feel like I would actually mark his introduction as the point where the series goes from, this is a lightly good watch, to...
With him, and then with Nanami of Azalea. Both of those two are what drive the rest of, at least that arc home.
Yeah. I think, before we talk fully about Kabitaiji, I would like to talk about the female lane, just so we stay a little chronologically, but the female lead, who's introduced in episode 1, Eiko, is very inspiring, because she's basically an upstart when it comes to singing. And what I like about the series is it sometimes does show the harsh reality of when you enter any sort of creativity formed outlet if you're trying to make yourself big. It's a lot harder than just having the skills.
Because Eiko she is good. No
Yeah.
matter what you like. Obviously, music is a very subjective topic. If the music doesn't hit for you, it's going to hit a little bit less well. But regardless of anything, she's a great singer.
Yeah,
Whether you like it or not, she's good at singing.
Literally, her biggest issue is the thing that I think anyone's going to find when they enter a creative field and start taking it more seriously. I experienced it with YouTube and still am, and you have to find a way to advertise yourself, and that's easier said than done. So, thankfully, she already had the skills. They do need to be cultivated a little bit more. There's always room for improvement.
As they show.
Kongming is like the turning point in her life where she already has the capabilities to be a good singer. She literally just needs someone willing to give her a chance and market her. In Kongming, being a ancient Chinese strategist is literally using, it's basically like all the like memes of like Sun Tzu. Like, honestly, we should have I don't care if we get ripoffs of this show. Like, I would love to see, like...
Oh my god, that'd be great.
Like, Kaguya-sama, Love is War, except Sun Tzu's there. Like, let me tell you how you hook the girl.
Yeah.
So that's... But, yeah, I do really like Eiko. I was captivated just like Kongming was, honestly. Whoever they got to do the singing role, great choice. A lot of care was put into this. The soundtrack of the series is phenomenal.
Absolutely.
Like,
one thing,
not just the opening, but like just all.
I don't know if you'll agree with me on this, but the song that Azalea plays, that's actually written by Kurosawa, I feel was made so well because it actually feels overproduced, just from the way that the song sounds, and obviously the movements and how they animate them being all jiggle physics and dancing sexually. That when they do their actual song, the song that they wrote themselves, there's such a massive contrast there between that song that Kurosawa made and their song, the one they poured their love into.
Yeah,
and it just hits that theme of this entire season so well.
It's actually funny because I do remember liking a lot of the songs that came towards the end, because hilariously I forget it, but there was one song that was played over and over and over again. And that's the nature of these things. That song needed to be played over and over again because it was Eiko trying to improve.
And great, but it's part of it.
It had to be played multiple times to get the point across that she was improving and that they needed to use that song as like her... Like you need a song that people recognize you for, and she had to go to the producer and play it for him and tweak it to the point that it was her own song and not just her singing to be good. It's like... Yeah, it's good, but I mean, is it you? I do like the producer. Obviously, I like the producer.
Too, and you could tell, which is what's just incredible about the way they produced the soundtrack.
His name is Kido. Yeah, Kido. Kido is the producer dude. I love his general vibes. Like, I think he was like wearing Hawaiian shirts. And
he was great. He was great.
Yeah, I like him because like he leans on being a bit of a dickhead, but he's not like a dickhead, if that makes sense. Like, he's harsh because he has to be. It's like the tough love sort of thing, but he does want to see you succeed if you're willing to put in the effort. So as soon as Eiko kept trying and trying and trying, he was harsh in the sense that when she wasn't ready, he was like, look, I'm not willing to put you through a deal if you're not ready, but you can keep trying. And eventually when she cultivated her skills and got to that level, he's like, awesome, I'm happy to work with you, let's go.
Yep.
And he won. It's funny because even though I wish there was more, just because I did like it enough, there's enough where my favorite thing to do in series is like compare and contrast shit. So I love the compare and contrast of Kido to Kawasawa. I literally have Kawasawa written as dickhead, because Kawasawa is very corporate and he literally turned Azalea into something they're not. Whereas, he saw their potential. But he, instead of, It
just shows you so many different perspectives from the entirety of the industry.
I'm glad that the Kido guy looked at Eiko and didn't go, I'm going to turn you into a success by doing what works in the market. He instead was like, you're not ready, but when you are, I'm going to help turn you into a success, along with Kongming, who's helping you, by making you a better you. Not by making you what I want you to be, but by taking what you want to be and elevating it so that we can make you a success and a success that you're proud of, not a fake version of yourself.
Yep.
Very important messages in the show. Circling back, because we did briefly talk about Kabataji, I definitely would say that was a turning point for the series for me, because Kongming, great concept. Eiko, great character. But by themselves, the series would have turned formulaic, I think, if they tried to focus on just these two for the whole show. And Kabataijin's where they introduced a character that I would say I relate to him probably the most. He's just feeling burnout, and he used to be great at something, but now he's like not feeling it. And there's a lot of like heavy shit that goes into that, because it's not like he just woke up one day and was bad, but like he just didn't feel like doing it, and it was starting to cause him health problems and shit. It shows you like how
I think it was like he had a medical issue during one of them, and he felt like a failure.
Bad mental health feeds into itself, so he has health problems. The health problem makes it harder for him to do what he loves. He can't do what he loves. It causes more health problems. Rinse and repeat until...
And Kongming basically just comes in as a guy who keeps pushing and prodding him. Yeah. It's like, hey, you're actually kind of good.
He literally, ticks him off to the point where Kongming attempts to make his rap debut, and it's not bad, but it's not good enough where Kabataijin's like, coerces Kabataijin to get back into his rap career, which means he challenges a guy who lost to him and wanted that rematch, which is a fair thing, when you're competitive. When you make it in your field, there's
just so many great supporting characters that maybe don't get like a ton of time, but the time they get is well used.
Yeah, like I actually related very strongly to the I think his name was Sasaki. That's what I haven't written down.
The guy.
He's the YouTube guy. He's very brief. He's this kind of bigger, chunky dude that was like friends with.
And maybe he's not the best at rap, but like him and Kabe, they have something in common.
Dude, I related to him because he was like bragging about. He's like, dude, I got 100 subscribers, and like I have more than that now. But I remembered when I hit 100 on YouTube, it was like, dude, holy shit!
Yeah,
like
it's just a very genuine character.
I just like how he's proud of where he's at, because I think that's something that I relate to the most, and something I have to remind myself of sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes you get really caught in the heat of striving for something big that you forget to rejoice the small successes. And so for me, I feel like he's thriving in his own element. He's happy where he's at.
Yeah.
Not trying to be someone else.
Just every character in Kongming felt very genuine to me. So that's what I think it does best.
I had a hard time rating this on Mao. I think I gave it a 7, but honestly, in hindsight, I do like the series more than Spy Family, which I rated an 8. So by default, I think I have to bump this one up to an 8.
Yeah.
But it is a hard one to rate, because my grading issues were mostly just... There could have been done more. You could have done more with Kongming, and it just felt too short, hilariously.
I ended up giving this a 9. This was pretty much my favorite anime throughout the season, and I also ended up binging it, but that's just because I fall off on episodes really easily. But the negatives of this were nothing compared to how much it meant to me for the positives.
Yeah, for me, this is a series where a lot of these that we watched are series that I would like to see continue. But whereas this as well as Spy Family are getting their first time to shine. I mean, I guess Tomodachi is too, but Tomodachi wasn't that great to me, so. But I would actually say I'd be more excited to see Kongming continue than Spy Family, and that's largely because I've already read a little ahead in Spy Family.
And I think it's also just a case of Spy Family is a comedy, anyways.
Yeah.
So it's.
I'm a very character-driven person, and honestly, the character-drivenness of Kongming has me a lot more invested at this point. I really want to see where these characters go. I have a lot of emotional leveling with them. Honestly, this, in a way where we'll talk about which was my actual favorite at some point, but as far as recommendations go, I would say this might just get my strongest recommendation sheerly out of the fact that I really do think this is a sleeper hit. This is the underdog.
It's also just, Kage is amazing, but it's the 3rd season of an ongoing show.
Kongming, if I were to give it, I would consider it the most underrated show of the season. Not enough people are talking about it, so if you haven't heard people talk about it, this gets my highest recommendation out of being the underdog. People should be watching this, talking about it. It has a great soundtrack. There's a lot going here, so I can't recommend this one enough. Go check it out if you haven't seen it yet.
Absolutely.